Alright, so this video is going to be a video key for the angles of elevation and depression's homework. Let's get started. Alright, so elevation versus depression. Elevation means I'm looking up or down?
Up.
Up. Alright. Depression means I'm looking up or down?
Down.
Alright, remember as you're looking across, that's your zero line. If you have to look up, you're going up in elevation. If you have to look down, that means you're going down in depression. Alright, so this is a picture of elevation and depression. Now this guy over here, he looks like a guy in a tower for the airplanes, right? Yeah. And so if you look straight across, that's his zero line, his 0 degree line. But if he's looking up, what is angle 1? And angle 1 is elevation or depression? Elevation. So if he looks up, it's elevation. But let's say he's looking down at an airplane that's already landed, then it would be what? Depression. All right. So we could create another angle of him looking down. The guy in the sky, the pilot, he's looking down at the tower. Okay. So he's looking. Is it elevation or depression? Depression. Again, if there happened to be another airplane or a UFO or a bird, then he would be looking up in what? Elevation. All right. So he could, even though he's up in the sky, there could be something higher than him, and that can be elevation. So if he's looking down, then that's going to be depression. All right. Problem number 1. If a 50-foot cable supporting a circus tent is staked into the ground at an angle of elevation of 37 degrees, how far from the tent must the stake be placed? Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and draw a picture. And you can go ahead and draw yours as well. So we have a tent, right? And then we have the stake pulled tight into the ground. Now here is our right angle. And we have an angle of elevation that is 37 degrees. So this angle is 37 degrees. It's a 50-foot cable. So is that 50-foot cable going to be opposite from the 37 degrees, adjacent, or the hypotenuse? Hypotenuse. So the 50 feet needs to go right there. So make sure that your picture is labeled the exact same way. Okay, so we are looking for, if this is our angle and we're looking at this triangle from this angle or perspective, are we looking for the side that's opposite of this angle or adjacent to this angle? Adjacent. So we're looking for this down here. We're looking for the adjacent. So we have the hypotenuse. We have adjacent. Are we going to use sine, cosine, or tangent?
Sine.
Cosine.
Cosine? Because cosine is what over what?
Adjacent over hypotenuse.
Adjacent over hypotenuse. So cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Alright, so let's plug in our information and figure it out. Okay, so we're going to find the cosine of 37 degrees is equal to adjacent. We don't know it, but we know the hypotenuse or the hypo is 50 feet. Okay, so how are we going to solve this equation?
You multiply 50 both sides.
On both sides, alright. So times 50 times 50. These go away. We're left with adjacent on the right. And 50 times the cosine of 37 on the left. Alright, so go ahead and plug that in. So we have cosine 37 times 50. And what did y'all get as the adjacent side? 40 feet, right? So this stake must be placed 40 feet away from the tent. Okay? And we did have to answer these in complete sentence, right? Alright, so here's our complete sentence. The stake must be placed 40 feet away from the tent. Number 2. A 300-meter cable is attached to the top of an antenna. The angle of elevation to the top of the antenna is 50 degrees. How high is the antenna? So we're looking at angle of elevation, and we're looking at angle of elevation that's 50 degrees, and there's a 300-meter cable attached to the top of the antenna. Alright, so this is all something like this. Alright, so here's our cable right here. It's a 300-meter cable, alright, so it's 300 meters long. We have an angle of elevation that is 15, so 15 degrees. Alright, and we're looking to see how high is the antenna. So if this is our angle, what information else were we given besides the angle? What other information?
Hypotenuse.
The hypotenuse, which is 300, right?
Yes.
What are we looking for? Compared to this angle, are we looking for the opposite side or the adjacent side?
Opposite.
Opposite?
Yeah.
Alright, so we're looking for this side over here. So which one? Sine, cosine, or tangent?
Sine.
Uses, yes, sine. So sine is going to be
Opposite over hypotenuse.
opposite over hypotenuse. Alright, so let's plug in the information that we know. We're looking for the sine. The sine of 15 degrees. The sine of 15 degrees is equal to opposite. We don't know it over hypo, which is 300 meters. How are we going to solve this?
Multiply 300 on both sides and put in hypotenuse.
Alright, yes. So go ahead and do it. So 300 times both sides. So we're left with 300 times the sine of 15 is equal to opposite. Okay, I'm going to go and plug it in and see what I get. Alright, what did y'all get?
If you round, you get 78.
If we round, we get 78, yeah? So the opposite side is 78 meters. Alright, so the opposite side is 78 meters. Alright, so remember, we have to write this in a complete sentence. So the complete sentence would be what? 78 meters high, yes.
Yeah.
So the antenna is 78 meters high. Alright, problem number 3. A plane is flying at an altitude of 12,000 meters. From the pilot, the angle of depression to the airport tower is 32 degrees. How far is the tower from a point directly beneath the plane? Alright, so go ahead and draw your plane. Alright. Alright, so from the pilot, the angle of depression to the airport tower, and the airport tower can kind of look like the Space Needle. Alright, so from the pilot, the angle of depression to the tower is 32 degrees. Alright, so from the pilot, the angle of depression, so the pilot has to look down 32 degrees. So originally, if he looked straight out the front window, that would be his 0 degree line. But he's having to look down from that 32 degrees. Okay? So from a point directly beneath the plane, so somewhere below the plane, directly beneath the plane, how far is the tower? Alright, so you can kind of extend it out like that. Okay, so we have the angle of depression. We know that the altitude is flying at an altitude of 12,000 meters. Alright, so 12,000 should go right here. Okay, so What are we looking for in this triangle? The hypotenuse or the base?
The base.
The base. Alright, so we're looking for that. The bases are unknown. Now, if this is a right angle right here, and outside of it, or outside this triangle, we have 32, how much of it is actually inside the triangle?
58 degrees.
58 degrees. So, from here to here, it's 58 degrees. Alright, so from the inside of the triangle, or from the 58 degree angle, are we looking for the side that's opposite of it, adjacent to it, or the hypotenuse?
Adjacent to it.
We're looking for the side that's adjacent to it?
Oh no, opposite.
Opposite of it, yeah. So we're looking for the base. It's opposite of the 58 degree angle. We have which side? We have the which side? The hypotenuse or the adjacent side?
Adjacent.
So we have the adjacent side. The adjacent side is 12,000 meters. We are looking for the opposite side. So are we going to use sine, cosine, or tangent? Tangent, alright. So tangent, we're going to find the tan of 58 degrees is equal to opposite, which we don't know, over adjacent, which is 12,000 meters. Okay, so how are we going to solve this?
Multiply 12,000 on each side.
On each side. Alright. We're going to knock those out. We're left with the opposite on the right. 12,000 times tan of 58 on the left. Alright. So when we plug that in, we have tan of 58 is equal to, or tan of 58 times 12,000. And how far is the tower from the plane?
19,204 meters.
19,204 meters. So 19,204 meters. And that's if we round it, right? Alright, so what does the complete sentence look like? Remember, the question is, how far is the tower from a point directly beneath the plane? How would the complete sentence look like?
The tower is 19,204 meters from a point directly beneath.
Awesome. The tower is 19,204 meters from a point directly beneath the plane. All right, last question. A great white shark swims 22 feet below sea level. If the shark is 67.7 feet from the sailboat, what is the angle of depression of the boat to the shark? So we have a boat. The boat is obviously at sea level. So we have our boat. Okay. Okay, and then we have a shark beneath sea level, or below sea level. And the shark is 22 feet below sea level. So the shark is going to be somewhere down here. Yeah, it's a really big fish. And he's smiling. And he has a little thing on top. That's a shark. And the gills? What fins? And he has fins too? Yeah. Whatever. Alright, so the shark is 67.7 feet from the sailboat. What is the angle of depression? So we don't know the angle of depression. Alright, and the shark is 22 feet below sea level. So he's 22 feet. Okay, he is 67.7 feet from the sailboat. Now, is that going to be the base of this triangle or the hypotenuse? The base or the hypotenuse?
The hypotenuse.
The hypotenuse? Alright. So 67.7 feet. And we're looking for the angle of depression. Now, is the angle of depression inside the triangle or outside? The angle of depression. Is it always inside or outside of?
Outside.
Outside.
Oh.
So we're looking for the angle of depression. We're looking for this right here. Alright. So, what are we gonna look for in order to get this? What do we need? The angle where? What do we need? In the inside. All right. So we're looking for this. Now, if this is our angle, are we gonna be using regular trigonometry or inverse? Inverse. All right. So let's say this is our angle. We have the hypotenuse. This is gonna be the what side? The adjacent side. Okay. So sine, cosine, or tangent? Cosine. So the cosine of some unknown angle, we don't know it yet, is going to be equal to 22 over 67 and 7/10. Okay? So what are we going to do with those two numbers?
You turn it into a decimal.
A decimal by what? Dividing. So what did you get?
I got 0 and 3, 2, 4, 9, 16.
Okay, let's round to the thousands. What would we get if we round to the thousands?
324,000.
324 thousandths?
No, 325,000.
325 thousandths? Alright, 325 thousandths. So what are we going to do with 325 thousandths?
You do the inverse.
Do the inverse of cosine. So inverse of cosine, 325 thousandths. Okay, so inverse cosine, 0.325. And what did y'all get?
71.
71. Again, is that angle the angle inside or outside the triangle? Inside. So this is 71. And this has to add up to 90. What is the angle of the crescent?
19.
19? Yeah. So the angle of the crescent is 19 degrees. Alright? So remember, we have to have the complete sentence. The question was, what is the angle of depression of the boat to the shark? Okay? So the complete sentence would be the angle of depression of the boat to is 19 degrees. Okay? The key on this one, and where most people might go wrong, is they might give me 71 instead of 19.
Yeah.
Remember, the angle of depression is always outside the triangle. So you have to find the angle first inside, and then use that, subtract it from 90 to get the angle of depression on the outside. That's the one place I see you work on. Alright?
No.
Thanks for watching.
You're not putting this.
Alright. Alright, so that concludes today's video key. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in class.
That's cookies right there.
Bye.